CCTV footage revealed this black Jeep driving directly towards Cash's home where Moriah was staying that night. The moment it arrived, Ring cameras caught this gut-wrenching audio. And immediately after the shooting, the killer escaped.
More information. What's your name?
My name is Kaitlin.
Kaitlin, are you with her now?
Yes, I'm with her now.
How old is she?
She's 26.
Okay. Is she awake?
She's not awake. There's blood all over her face
Kaitlin?
and all on the back of her head.
Is she breathing?
No. She's not
Okay.
breathing.
Okay, I'm getting help started right now, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, okay?
Okay.
I've got the paramedics on the way to help you. Stay on the line, Kaitlin.
Okay.
If
Okay.
there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
There's not. I'm just in my
Okay.
house.
Okay. Listen carefully. Are you right by her now, Kaitlin?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Lay her flat on her back on the floor and
Yes.
remove anything under her head. Let me know when that's done.
Yeah, there's nothing under her head. It's just her.
Okay.
It's
She's
just
flat on her
blood.
back on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions, Kaitlin. Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone right between the nipples,
Okay.
and put your other hand on top of that hand.
Yeah.
Then pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second and 2 inches deep. Okay? Let the chest come all the way up between pumps. We're going to do this until help can take over. Count out loud so I can count with you.
Right between the breastbone?
Exactly, like right between the nipples, right in the center of her chest. Right in the center.
Okay, okay.
And then pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second and 2 inches deep.
Okay.
Just pump hard and fast, and then count out loud so I can count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Good.
7, 8.
Keep going.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Mo Wilson is not supposed to die tonight. She is supposed to race. She is supposed to win. She is supposed to become one of the greatest gravel cyclists this world has ever seen. But somewhere in the darkness outside that apartment door, someone has been watching. Someone has been waiting. And when the knock comes, if there is one at all, Mo Wilson will not see the morning. Her friend, Kaitlin Cash, returns home a short time later to find the unthinkable. Mo is on the floor. There is blood. A lot of it. Cash will later testify through shaking sobs that she tried to revive her friend. That she screamed. That the last sounds Mo Wilson made on this earth were screams of terror, followed by the brutal crack of gunshots. By the time paramedics arrive, there is nothing left to do but confirm what no one wants to believe. Mo Wilson, 25 years old, unstoppable, radiant, is dead. Shot in the head and chest at close range. The 911 call from that night is played during the trial. In a courtroom packed with journalists, grieving family members, and a stunned public, that recording does something no opening argument ever could. It makes it real. It makes it human. It makes it devastating. To understand the magnitude of what was taken from the world on May 11, 2022, you have to understand who Mo Wilson was, not just as an athlete, but as a person. Born and raised in Vermont, Anna Moriah Wilson grew up with the outdoors in her blood. She was a kind of young woman who could ride a bicycle over brutal gravel terrain for hours and emerge from the dust with a smile. She competed at an elite level in Nordic skiing before transitioning to cycling. And when she made that pivot, the cycling world took notice immediately. She wasn't just good. She was extraordinary. Coaches, teammates, rivals, they all said the same thing. Mo Wilson was going to be one of the greats. She had a warmth that matched her talent. She lit up rooms. She was the kind of friend who remembered details, who sent messages to check in, who showed up. Her parents, Karen and Eric Wilson, would later describe their daughter in terms that make a courtroom go silent. A child who accomplished a lifetime of achievements in just 25 years, who was taken before she ever had the chance to realize how magnificent she truly was. In May 2022, Mo traveled to Austin ahead of a race in Hico, Texas. She was staying with her friend Kaitlin Cash. She was happy. She was focused. She had no idea she had become the object of someone else's obsession, someone who had watched her from a distance, tracked her movements, and made a decision that would end everything. Every great true crime story has a triangle. This one is no different. Colin Strickland is a professional cyclist, elite level, charming, well-known in the tight-knit world of gravel racing. In October 2019, he matched with a woman on a dating app. Her name was Kaitlin Armstrong. She was 31 years old, a yoga instructor, a licensed realtor, a woman who by all outward appearances had pieced together a life of purpose and intention. What started as a swipe on a screen became a relationship, passionate, intense, and from the very beginning, volatile. Strickland would later testify that their relationship was 2.5 years, at times tumultuous. They moved in together during the COVID-19 pandemic. They built a life. They formed an LLC. They bought a house in Lockhart, Texas. Strickland even bought them each a firearm, after Armstrong expressed what he described as paranoia about road rage incidents and riding alone. On paper, they were a couple. In reality, they were two people circling a drain. In the fall of 2021, Strickland and Armstrong separated. It was during this break that Strickland met Mo Wilson. Their romantic relationship was brief, barely a week, by Strickland's own account, but the connection between them lingered. They stayed in touch. They were friends. Friends in a world where both of them were devoted to the same sport, moving in the same orbits, attending the same events. Strickland and Armstrong eventually got back together. But Strickland did not tell Armstrong that he and Mo had been involved. And here is where everything begins to unravel. To keep the peace, Strickland saved Mo's phone number under a different name. He deleted her texts. He hid the friendship in plain sight, or so he thought. Kaitlin Armstrong was watching. She had access to Strickland's email, his Instagram, his iPad. She was, by multiple accounts, deeply possessive. And at some point, she found out about Mo Wilson. What happened next will chill you. In the weeks leading up to May 11, 2022, investigators would later piece together a portrait of a woman descending into a dangerous obsession. Armstrong had reportedly told an anonymous tipster that she had either recently purchased a firearm or was going to. She had visited a shooting range with her sister, Christine, to learn how to use one. The SIG Sauer P365 handgun that Strickland had purchased for her, the one recovered by police from their shared home, would later yield a shell casing that matched evidence found at the crime scene. On the afternoon of May 11th, Strickland picked Mo up, and the two of them went for a swim at Deep Eddy Pool, one of Austin's most beloved public spots. They grabbed dinner together afterward. It was casual. It was friendly. It was the kind of ordinary afternoon that has no business being the last one a person ever has. Prosecutors allege Armstrong tracked all of it. She had been monitoring Mo's Strava account, the fitness app where Mo logged her workouts and, crucially, her location. She knew where Mo was. She knew who Mo was with. And when the evening arrived, investigators believe she got in her black Jeep Grand Cherokee and drove to Kaitlin Cash's apartment. Mo Wilson was shot 3 times. The crime scene was described as targeted. There was no sign of forced entry, no robbery, no struggle consistent with a stranger. This was personal. Horrifyingly, deliberately personal. The Austin Police Department moved quickly. Within hours, they were building a case. Witnesses were interviewed. Surveillance footage was reviewed. The forensic evidence was compelling. A spent shell casing from Armstrong's SIG Sauer, Armstrong's DNA found on Mo's bicycle at the scene, and a digital trail that prosecutors would describe as damning. On May 12th, the day after the murder, Austin police brought Kaitlin Armstrong in for questioning. She sat across from detectives. She answered their questions. And then, in what prosecutors would later frame as a window into the coldness of a calculated mind, she walked out of that interrogation room, drove a Jeep to a CarMax dealership, and sold it for $12,200 in cash. She had it sold and the money in her hand before detectives had even issued a warrant. On May 13th, she transferred her assets. On May 14th, she was at the Austin Bergstrom International Airport. She boarded a Southwest Airlines flight to Houston, connected to LaGuardia, and disappeared. On May 17th, Austin police issued a homicide warrant for Kaitlin Armstrong. By then, she was already gone. What followed was one of the most dramatic international manhunts in recent American true crime history. The U.S. Marshals Service elevated the investigation to major case status. The Lone Star Fugitive Task Force mobilized. Agencies from local police to immigration and customs enforcement pooled their resources into a single, urgent objective: find Kaitlin Armstrong. They followed her digital and financial trail across the country and eventually to Costa Rica, where she had entered on her sister's passport, a federal crime on its own. In Costa Rica, Armstrong reinvented herself. She cut her hair and dyed it. She reportedly paid $6,425 for cosmetic surgery, including work on her nose, to change her appearance. She took on aliases. The one most of her new acquaintances knew her by was Ari Martin. She was teaching yoga classes on Santa Teresa Beach in Provincia de Puntarenas, living in a hostel, hiding in plain sight. But you cannot run from the U.S. Marshals forever. Law enforcement tracked her through her love of yoga. It was the one habit she could not break, the one thread of her former life she kept pulling. On June 29, 2022, 43 days after the murder, U.S. Marshals arrested Kaitlin Armstrong at that hostel on Santa Teresa Beach. U.S. Marshal Susan Pamelo described the capture as a textbook example of what happens when law enforcement resources are combined with relentless determination. For the Wilson family, it was not yet justice, but it was something. It was the beginning of the road back to the truth. When Kaitlin Armstrong was extradited back to Texas and arraigned on July 21, 2022, she pleaded not guilty. She was held on a $3.5 million bond in Travis County Jail. She looked, in photographs from the courtroom, like a woman who had calculated every move she was making. Even in custody, the story wasn't over. In October 2023, 3 weeks before her trial was set to begin, Armstrong attempted to escape while being escorted by officers to a medical appointment outside the jail. She ran. There was a chase. She was reapprehended and charged with escape-causing bodily injury. The escape charges were later dropped, but the incident painted a picture that prosecutors would not let the jury forget. This was not a woman who behaved like someone with nothing to hide. October 30, 2023. The trial of Kaitlin Armstrong begins at the Blackwell Thurman Criminal Justice Center in Austin, Texas. The courtroom is packed. Cameras are loud. The world is watching. Travis County Prosecutor Rick Jones opens with words that freeze the room. He tells the jury that the last thing Mo Wilson did on this earth was scream in terror. That those screams were followed by the sound of gunshots. He claps his hands together, once, twice, in the silence of the courtroom, and the sound lands like a hammer. The prosecution's case is meticulous. They walk the jury through the digital surveillance, the Strava tracking, the shared iPad, the deleted texts that weren't deleted enough. They call Kaitlin Cash to the stand, and she testifies about finding Mo on the floor of her apartment, about the 911 call, about trying to revive a friend who was already gone. She is visibly shattered. The jury watches her face. They are shattered too. Colin Strickland takes the stand on November 3rd. He testifies in a low, quiet voice, clearly anguished. He describes how he kept Mo's contact under a false name. He admits he hid the friendship. He acknowledges that Armstrong had access to all of his communications. He says he loved Armstrong. He says he wasn't sure they could make a long-term relationship work. He calls Mo Wilson an immense talent. When asked about the gun, the SIG Sauer P365 that he bought for Armstrong, he confirms the purchase. He does not look at Armstrong when he testifies. He stares at the floor. Armstrong's own friends testify against her. They tell the jury she had threatened to kill Mo Wilson before the murder, that she had spoken about it, that she had made her hatred known, and ballistic forensics place her weapon at the scene. Her DNA is on Mo's bicycle. Her digital footprint tracks Mo's movements the day of the killing. The defense argues circumstantial evidence. Attorney Rick Kofer tells the jury that police had tunnel vision from the start, that they built a narrative around the jealous girlfriend archetype and forced the evidence to fit it. He argues there was no direct proof Armstrong fired the weapon. No eyewitness. No video of the actual shooting. He tells the jury that Armstrong was trapped in a nightmare of circumstantial evidence, and that reasonable doubt demands they free her. Armstrong does not testify. She sits at the defense table and stares ahead. The jury does not need long. After deliberating for fewer than 3 hours, the jury returns a verdict of guilty, first-degree murder. The courtroom erupts. Family members of Mo Wilson clutch one another. Some cry. Some sit very still, in that particular, private way of people who have been waiting so long for something that when it finally arrives, they don't quite know how to feel it. Mo's parents, Karen and Eric Wilson, hold each other. They have attended every single day of this trial. They have listened to every piece of evidence. They have heard their daughter's name spoken 1,000 times in a room that was never supposed to exist. The following day, November 17, 2023, Kaitlin Armstrong is sentenced to 90 years in prison and fined $10,000. Prosecutor Rick Jones addresses the courtroom before the sentence is delivered. He says she accomplished a lifetime of achievements in 25 years and then was taken away from us. He is talking about Mo Wilson. He is talking about a young woman who will never race again, who will never stand at a podium again, who will never call her parents and tell them about a good day. He is talking about a life that mattered, deeply, completely, in ways that one person's jealousy had no right to extinguish. Conviction is not always the end of a story. It rarely is. Armstrong's legal team immediately began working on an appeal. In December 2023, her attorney filed a motion for a new trial, citing, among other reasons, a claim that Armstrong had been pregnant at the time of her arrest and miscarried while in custody, a fact, they argued, that should have been presented as mitigating evidence during sentencing. An evidentiary hearing to present new evidence was requested and denied in August 2024. Armstrong petitioned the Texas Third Circuit Court of Appeals. In January 2026, that court issued its ruling, conviction upheld. No reversible error. The case is closed. Mo Wilson's family has refused to let her name fade into the background of this story. In May 2024, Karen and Eric Wilson filed a wrongful death civil lawsuit against Armstrong. In June 2024, a judge awarded the family $15 million. When Armstrong, before her trial, had transferred her assets to her mother, sister, and Colin Strickland, emptying her accounts in apparent preparation for exactly this kind of legal liability, the Wilson family filed a second lawsuit in July 2024, this one accusing Armstrong of fraudulent transfer. The fight for accountability continues even behind bars. Colin Strickland has largely retreated from the public eye. The cycling world has moved forward, as sports worlds do, but Mo's absence is felt at every race where her name comes up. She was the kind of competitor who leaves a shape in the air when they are gone. Kaitlin Armstrong is currently incarcerated at the Dr. Lane Murray Unit in Gatesville, Texas. Under Texas law, she will not be eligible for parole until approximately 2052, 30 years from the night she drove to a quiet apartment in East Austin and ended a life. She is 38 years old. She will be in her 60s before she is considered for release. Mo Wilson will be 25 forever. There is a tendency, in true crime, to let the killer swallow the story. The perpetrator gets the name in the headlines. The perpetrator gets the Netflix documentary treatment, the Lifetime movie, the breathless recounting of how they evaded capture. The victim becomes a supporting character in their own murder. This story will not do that. Mo Wilson was not a plot device. She was not a footnote. She was a 25-year-old woman from Vermont who had built something extraordinary from sheer talent and will and a love of moving through the world under her own power. She was a daughter, a friend, a teammate, a competitor who made everyone around her better simply by showing up and doing the work. In March 2026, at South by Southwest in Austin, the very city where Mo was killed, a documentary film premiered. It is called The Truth and Tragedy of Moriah Wilson, directed by Marina Zanovic and produced by Academy Award winner Evan Hayes. It was released on Netflix on April 3, 2026. It is not about Kaitlin Armstrong. It is about Mo. It is about her life, her talent, her relationships, her joy. It is about the cycling world that loved her and the gap she left behind. It is the story that should have always been told. The story of who she was, not just how she died. Her parents have said that the film gives them something that the trial, for all its necessary brutality, could not. It gives them their daughter back, for a little while. Not the victim. Not the body on the floor of Kaitlin Cash's apartment. Mo Wilson, the rider, the friend, the daughter, the force of nature who made everyone around her believe that hard work and passion could carry you anywhere. It can carry you anywhere, until someone decides they have the right to stop you. That is where this story begins, not where it ends. It ends in a courtroom, with a verdict that took less than 3 hours to reach. It ends in a prison in Gatesville, with a woman counting decades she cannot buy back. It ends in a civil judgment of $15 million, in a family's relentless refusal to let the legal system forget what was taken from them. But most of all, it ends with a documentary that opens not on Kaitlin Armstrong's face, but on the face of Mo Wilson, radiant, windswept, alive, cresting a hill on a bicycle, going faster than anyone expected, toward a finish line that should have been just the beginning. Some stories are told to scare you. Some are told to warn you. This one is told to remind you that behind every crime, there is a life that was not a crime. There is a person who deserved better. There is a world that is smaller and dimmer for their absence. Mo Wilson deserved better. Remember her name.